Look, do I have a smoothie in a water bottle? Yes. Is it gonna be a problem in like 45 minutes when I have to clean this water bottle? Also yes. But we're not gonna worry about that right now. We're gonna be talking about my reading goals for 2025. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If this isn't a welcome back, and this is actually the first time that you've stumbled onto my little reading corner of the internet, I know you got a quick question. Yo, Chris reads? And yeah, I do know how to read. Allegedly. And today we're gonna talk about goal setting. I think with this upload onto my channel, it will be like 22 or 23 videos that I've been making. So for the past like 4 or 5 months, you know, a video a week, and now with 2 videos a week, I've been reading and I've been talking about books, and it's been so fun. But with the new year, just like, you know, a month out of the corner, I know it's a little early to be releasing 2025 goals videos, but with the new year coming up soon, I was trying to think of ways that I could not only prioritize this channel, but ways I could also prioritize my reading, and reading both for the fun of it and for the habit, and less of for what I'm trying to build here in my little corner of the internet. So I had a conversation with myself. I watched a few YouTube videos on other people's goals for 2024 and 2025 that I will link down below in the description next to the like and subscribe buttons. And I kind of figured out my own little tiny list of what I wanted to do in 2025. And I think I have a good list for the past, like I said, the past 4 or 5 months that I've been making these videos. I've really been reading kind of not in a habitual way, if that makes sense, kind of just whenever I find time for it and whenever I could fit it in between other things. But what that ends up leading to is a very like disjointed habit, right? So there might be 3, 4, 5 days where I don't do any reading at all, and then 1 or 2 days where I read for like 6 hours each day. And while that might be okay for some people, it doesn't really work for me, because I will let the days where I don't do any reading kind of pile on. And then when I do have the free time to read, it's like, well, I haven't already read for like 4 or 5 days. Like, why should I read today? You know? So the past few weeks, I've really been dialing in and really been focusing on reading for fun and also reading for building the habit. And that's something that I want to carry into 2025. So with that said, I want to start with what might be the most controversial habit I want to build in 2025, or not even a habit, it's a goal really, of I want to read 50 books in 2025. There's been a lot of, maybe not hatred, maybe not anger, maybe, for lack of a better word, discomfort about setting like an actual number on your reading goals, because it can cause like some friction with why you read. What a lot of people say, and what I honestly agree with, is that you should read because you want to read. You know, you shouldn't be, you know, in November or December being like, man, I had a goal to read 100 books. I've only read 82. How am I going to get these 18 books out of the way before January, you know? But that's not really like the mindset that I have when I came up with this goal of reading 50 books. I really want it because I know that it's about a book a week, right? It's a little bit less than a book a week. And with the current stage that I'm in my life right now, like, I don't want to feel like I have to force reading in. And I also don't want to feel like I felt before, where I could have been reading but I wasn't, you know? So I think this 50 book goal is a good number for me, especially because when I did my mid-year video, my mid-year like freak out tag or whatever it's called, I think at that point I had read 10 or 11 books, if I'm not mistaken. I still don't know how many books I've read this year. I have specifically not looked at the number because I want to be kind of surprised at the end of the year. So it's kind of like a soft goal of 50 books that I really want to try. If I only get to like 39 or something like that, I'm not going to be disappointed, but I think 50 is a good enough number where it doesn't seem like insurmountable. Like I know I can reach 50 books, but it also doesn't seem like, oh, I want to read 3 books, because I don't like not having like a goal in mind, you know? I'm a very goal-driven person, and that, I don't know if that shows in the channel, but I really like, as long as there's a goal and there's like an achievement that I'm trying to achieve, then I'm happy, and then I have something to strive for. I think I spoke about this in my last video, the LeBron James reading video, that sometimes I feel like when there's so much choice and there isn't enough like of a narrowing of choice, I end up not reading. And I feel like that was my problem, you know, the past few weeks, or I should say a few weeks ago, where it felt like I had so many books on my TBR and I didn't know where to start, that it took, and you guys saw in my past few videos, it took like some definitive like dialing in before I realized like what I wanted to read and when I wanted to read it and stuff like that. So while I understand kind of the maybe negativity, like I said earlier, isn't the wrong word, but while I understand the dislike of having like a numbered reading goal to read by the end of the year, I like it and it works for me. I encourage y'all to find ways or things or challenges that work for you too. Like, I know people that will read whatever they want, whenever they want, and that's what works for them. But for me, like, I want the goal, I want the achievement, I want something to strive to. And I know that, again, like, even if I'm reading for fun or whether I'm reading for making these videos, I can get to 50, you know? So it's not like something crazy, not some stupid 250,000 books in a year, you know? The second thing that I want to do next year, which I guess doesn't count maybe completely towards a reading goal, but it's something that I know being a reader and having this YouTube channel will help me do, is be more charitable with my reading. What I mean by that is that I fully recognize that I'm in a very good position in my life, right? I have a roof over my head, I have a job, I can make these videos, I have the tools to make these videos. Like, this room is full of my bad financial and time decisions, right? And I remember when I didn't have all of this and I had way less time and money on my hands, and I was worried about so many other things that I didn't even have the mental capacity to focus on making YouTube videos about books, right? So now that I have everything that I have, and I have the time and the money and the position that I'm in, I want to do more to help people that don't have the same opportunities and the same things that I have. So a lot of this stuff is like still in like the planning stages of what I want to do, but I do want to do, like, even if it's like a gift card or like book giveaways on this channel, that's something I really want to do. I do want to prioritize and showcase and show off like local bookstores in my area. Unfortunately, there aren't many nearby where I live, so it involves like having the time to like drive out and go to these places, but it's something that I really want to do. I also want to make like more donations to, like, there's this company called, I think it's called First Reads. Let me look for it. So the charity I was thinking of is called First Book, which is all about eliminating barriers to an equitable education for children in underserved communities. But there's also stuff like Room to Read and the World Literacy Foundation and the National Center for Families Learning, United Through Reading. Like, there's a bunch of these charities and these organizations that make it their goal and make it their purpose to help children and adults really with having books and kind of furthering their education. So not only do I want to help the people and the organizations that have gotten me to where I'm at personally, but I also want to help those people and those organizations help others get to where I'm at personally. And hopefully a few of them are even better than me, you know? But this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is kind of like in the planning phase. So there isn't anything written down, but that's one of the things that doing like a 2025 video in 2024, I think is helpful, because it gives me like a month or two of looking over my plans and looking over what I want to do and make sure that kind of everything is a little more concrete before the new year starts. A simple one just to throw in the middle here, I really want to finish my TBR in 2025. I think I've mentioned this before, but I really do think it's a flex to have a bunch of books and then say you've read every book. You know, I don't want a TBR shelf. I don't want a TBR section. I don't want to be one of those people who like counts all the books they own at the end of the year and realize that they've only read like 60% or something. To go back to the charitable aspect of what I want to do, like, I have a bunch of books that I've read that I'm probably never going to read again. So I want to make sure that once I read everything and I have like a lay of the land on everything that I own, then I can start like either giving them to little libraries or donating them or figuring out something to do with the books that I'm never going to pick up again. But that's like a quick one that I know I can get a decent chunk done before the end of the year. I can probably get, I'm looking at my stack right now, that's what I'm looking at. I can probably get like 2 or 3 of the books done by the end of the year, which still leaves some of the chunkier ones to start the new year with, but I know it's something I can finish. It's a very easily attainable goal, especially if I want to read 50 books in a year. The next thing, my next goal when it comes to reading in 2025 is I really want to diversify what I read. Big shout out to Kat's Field Notes on YouTube. I'll have her channel and all her stuff linked down below. Her channel is a really cool one I found when I was looking through like reading goals videos and stuff like that, and she makes a big emphasis in the video that I linked below on diversifying her reading both in subject matter and also who they're written by. Emmy Reads also talks about this too. She has her Reading Around the World book club where she tries to read a book by an author from every country, which is something that has always interested me, and it's always something I've been interested in doing. And in looking at Emmy Reads' videos and in Kat's Field Notes videos, I've never really thought about who writes my books or where my books come from. And really the only time I ever thought about it was when I was reading, I don't know if y'all can see it from there, War Against All Puerto Ricans, which is a book about Puerto Rico. But since I'm gonna start reading more, and since I'm gonna take more of like a concerted effort into knowing about what I'm reading, I also wanna kind of like just diversify the kind of books that I read, you know? Like I've said in a bunch of previous videos, I don't really have a certain genre or a certain author that I really gravitate to. And I don't think I ever will, just knowing the type of person that I am. But I also do just want to have like a general knowledge base and information that'll help me kind of know the books that I'm reading, as weird as that sounds. So that just means reading more books written by women, people from different backgrounds, people from different countries, genres that I would never really like read, you know? It's just like diversifying kind of the general vibe of what I read, you know? I've had like a thought of getting like a giant printout of like a world map and then putting like a pin or something when I've read a book written by an author from that country or something like that. I think that would be really cool to have like a physical visual of my diversification of reading. If that makes sense, I think that would just be really cool to look at and be like, oh, I just finished reading this book from a Guatemalan author. Let me I think that would be really cool. So again, since I'm going to be reading more, since I'm hopefully going to be buying more books and getting more books, I really want to make sure that I cast as wide of a net as possible to not only just figure out what I want to read and what I like to read like on a regular basis, but also just to try some stuff out, you know? I might read a romance next year. Who knows? I know. I'm not gonna read no romance. So in order to keep track of all the diversifying and all the reading I'm gonna do and all the information I'm gonna get and all the videos I'm gonna make, I really wanna switch from having kind of an electronic app-based book tracking system to a journaling reading tracking system. I have been journaling recently. It's something that I've tried to do a lot before, like I'm sure a lot of y'all have, but it's something that's never really stuck. So what I started doing instead was, instead of having like a daily writing journaling practice, I've kind of adopted the commonplace notebook vibe. And it's really where, like, instead of having one notebook for journaling and one notebook for YouTube videos and one notebook for whatever else, I kind of just have one notebook that does everything. And yeah, it's a little messy, and yeah, it takes, you know, 5 seconds to find something instead of 3 seconds if it was more organized. But I do like this method of just having everything in one place. And I have been using story graphs for most of this year, if not all of this year. And I really do enjoy it. And I love the visual kind of representations of what you can read that it like shows you both throughout the year, and then it does like the reading wrap up at the end of the year. But for me personally, I know that while that's cool, it is much more like disconnected than I would like it to be. And while I do think that story graphs interface looks way better than Goodreads, I think both of them are trash. And so I know that having like a physical notebook where I can write whatever information on a book I want to write down, where I can make it look how I want it to look, where I have it, you know, whether I have Wi-Fi or not, all of those things kind of make it easier for me to track what I'm reading and to pay attention to what I'm reading and to learn from what I'm reading. So as simple as it might seem to go from tracking everything through an app to tracking everything in a journal, I think it will have a pretty big impact on me as someone who is trying to become like more purposeful and more intentional with the things that I do. Having like a journaling practice in general, I think will be very nice, but also specifically a journaling practice that I can connect to the reading practice that I'm trying to do is going to be just like incredibly helpful and beneficial to making sure that those habits and those practices kind of stay a regular part of my life. They become habits and practice. And the main thing that I was thinking about when I was coming up with these goals was like, how can I have something that's still a challenge, that's still something I have to work towards, that I have to put effort into achieving without it being too difficult that I just don't want to start it in the first place. And I think I found a good in-between with these 5 goals that I have for next year. Please leave a comment down below. Any and all goals, any and all habits or practices that y'all want to build for your reading specifically in 2025, let me know. And like I said earlier, I know it's a little early to be releasing a video about 2025, but it is something that now that I've kind of written it down and I've put it out there in the world, I also want to give myself some time to kind of maybe think over some things, maybe reword some things for me personally. And of course, if I make like any major changes to my goals or my habits or anything like that, y'all will also know too, and I'll give y'all a reason as to why I'm making those changes. If you liked anything I said in the past however many minutes, please leave a like on this video as well. I would really appreciate it. And if you like this channel in general, if you like Molly, as you should, if you think I'm handsome, also as you should, please subscribe so my videos show up in your subscriptions box. And if I think y'all have access to a bell that may or may not let you know when I upload a video. I'm not trying to give away any YouTube secrets, but I'm hooking you up. Don't tell nobody. Thanks again for making it to this point in the video, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.